Welcome to Long Term. I'm Ty King, and this podcast where we've been talking about recovery and the many different forms that it takes because all of us have something that we need to recover from. And sometimes we have a revelation that we don't need the things that we thought were just part of life anymore, right? And so I am excited to talk to the experts that are helping people sort of realize those things. And one that we haven't covered before until today is diabetes. And so I'm excited to have Dr. Jeff Hockings on here to talk about how he is reversing people's diabetes and not relying on the medication anymore. So, Dr. Jeff Hockings, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing. Obviously, when you have doctor in front of your name, that can mean a lot of different things, right?
Yeah, so our company, what we do is really, really simple. We reverse people that have type 2 diabetes, which means we get their A1C to be 5.9 or lower, taking no diabetic meds. So they're not managing it. They're not taking Ozempic or insulin or anything else. It's completely off all their meds and their blood sugar's normal. So that's what we've been doing the last 16 years all over the world. And it's just really fun to see people, recover from that disease because it's such a deadly thing. And it's pretty exciting for us to do what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. So you've been doing it for over 16 years. And so was it something that you just happened to discover, something that was working all of a sudden, and then you've been all in since then, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so I've been in healthcare. This is my 35th year in healthcare.
Wow.
And the first 18 years, my wife and I, we built and sold 4 wellness centers in Southern California, kind of pain management, that kind of thing with chiropractors, medical doctors working together. And we got tired of that whole insurance game. It was just like ready for the next phase. So we sold all those clinics and decided to tackle type 2 diabetes because it runs in our family. I had an aunt who died of it when I was younger. My wife's dad just passed away 2 years ago from type 2 diabetes, interestingly enough. And so it's a real personal mission for us. And I learned in school that it is reversible with lifestyle changes. But once we looked around 16 years ago, there was no program somebody could join that told them exactly what you can eat and not eat, what supplements to take, what exercise to do, provide coaching and training and guarantee results. So we just created it. And again, out of need, just because we saw how devastating it is to families. And we just wanted to make a solution for it. So, and here we are. And it's pretty exciting.
Wow, that's incredible. So, what is the process that some people are going through with you in order to reverse diabetes? Because I don't think a lot of people realize that they can actually reverse it, rather than they're just looking out for I don't want that diagnosis, right? Because then I'll be like this my entire life, have to take insulin. So, what is that process like?
Yeah, well, 100%. And the main reason, the biggest question we get asked from our patients when they join is, how come my doctor never told me about this? Because, and to defend their doctor, they just don't know. They're not trained at med school how to reverse diabetes or really any disease. They're trained how to diagnose it and then manage it with medications. That's what they're trained to do. So that's the first hurdle we got to get people over, that it is reversible. Then once they get in the program, again, they got to eat the right foods. They have to take the proper supplements, do some exercise. Like those are the lifestyle changes they have to do. And then our coaches kind of walk them through that, hold them accountable, hold their hand, encourage them when they're doing great, kick them in the butt when they're falling off the wagon, like a good coach does. So that's what we do. And it's just, again, so gratifying to see them, start where they're just no hope left in their life. They think they got to live with this the rest of their lives. They're already getting symptoms. They're afraid of getting an amputation, going on dialysis, going blind, having a heart attack or a stroke. I mean, they're all this fear they have. And now it's like, hey, guess what? This is reversible. And we got the solution. So it's really cool to see them just like, it just brightens their life. And then when they see the results, they see the blood sugar coming down so quickly, so fast, it gives them that encouragement to want to stick with it because it doesn't take a month in our program to see results, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I imagine it's a boost to, your self-esteem, your ego. We realize, oh man, I've got my life back now, and so being able to realize that there is a light at the end of this tunnel as long as they maintain. And so I do want to go into a little bit of like what happens after. So this portion of not depending on these medications that they thought that they were going to have to the rest of their life. What is that like? What is that process like? And how do you stay on that wagon?
Yeah. So obviously, I'll tell you this. Most people that join our program, probably 90% of them, they join because they're scared. Like they are getting those symptoms. They're afraid of those complications I mentioned. So there's a huge motivation for them to want to do this. And then once it's reversed and they're off their meds, they're like, I don't want to go back to that again. So that's the biggest thing that helps keep them in that recovery phase. because now they realize how great it feels to be a non-diabetic and be off all the meds. And they really are sensitive, like, I don't want to ever go back through that crap again. And so that's what makes it easier for them to maintain it once they're done. Because as you said, right, compliance is the whole ball game. Like once they're done, they got to keep eating the right way. Otherwise, it'll come right back again. The sugar go back up, and they know that. Like we educate them all the way through the process. So once they graduate from our program, because we put them on a 3, 5, or a 7-month program, that's the active care to reverse it. And once they're done, they just have to keep eating the right way, and they can keep it that way forever. And because it's not that restrictive as far as the diet, they can eat out in restaurants, have a social life. So it's very easy to maintain that. We've had people that have maintained it for 16 years now. So we really, really have a conscious effort we put on people to say, hey, this is not that hard. You're not going to be eating carrots and lettuce the rest of your life. I mean, you can have a life. But again, you got to be following the right program. And that's what we teach them.
It seems like there's such a parallel, something I never thought of before. Something we've covered a lot here is, substance use issues, right? And so where people they grow a dependency on a certain chemical or medication or something, and then they have what's called long-term recovery afterwards, which means every day they've got to make decisions in their life that make them stay on the path that they are on, so that they don't reverse, and because it's easily reversible. Like you said, one meal could make you slip back into, if you're eating the wrong things, right? So if you're going all in and you're like, well, that cake looks delicious, I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like there are limits to the same thing. It seems like there's a big parallel in this long-term recovery, but it's actually something for people who are post this reversal of diabetes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, because they're in that program with us for 3, 5, 7 months, that's long enough time to have them develop new habits. And, so now they're used to what they need to do. And so now it's just keep on doing that. Like you saw the results, you saw that it wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be. And now just keep doing that. And again, they have that constant fear in the back of them, like, I don't want to go back there again. And that's one of the things that really helps them stay on that track, because man, this is critical. And most of our patients, once they've got that gone, and they had that phase of 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years of living this ridiculous life of stressing over diabetes, poking their finger every day, or having a CGM stuck on their arm 24/7, they're like, oh, now that's gone. It's just like there's such an emotion tied to that they don't ever want to go back that way, because it's again, because those new habits have been formed. And with any kind of recovery, they got to get those new habits in place and fill that void. And because again, the diet's not that restrictive, that a whole emotional attachment to certain foods, that already is gone. That's already handled between a 3 to 5, 7-month program. So that's the really cool thing about it. So there's very small relapse with our patients because of those reasons.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. And I think, some of the best coaches, 'cause that's one of the things you mentioned earlier, is what you're sort of doing is coaching them along on their journey. Some of the best coaches, and that relationship works better whenever you know who this coach is, right? Or why they have the passion for what they're doing with you.
Yeah.
It's not just a job, it's something above where there's a bigger mission. And so for you, what is that personal, passion for helping people reverse their diabetes?
Yeah, again, just because it runs in our family, and it's gotten stronger because again, my wife, we've been married 33 years, and her father, who just passed away 2 years ago. Here's the ironic thing about this is that he got diagnosed literally about 3 months after we got married 33 years ago. So he passed away 2 years ago. So it's 31 years we're married. And so he just kept on getting worse and worse and worse. And he was one of those guys that refused to change his lifestyle. He's like, no, I'll just keep taking my meds. I'll just listen to my doctor. And he kept getting worse and worse and worse. So we had a front row seat to him just declining. And imagine how exasperating that is, to where his son-in-law, me, is the world's leading expert at reversing his disease, but he didn't want the help. And so it's so seeing that, and while we're helping, thousands of people while he's getting worse, it just kind of fed that fuel for us. Like, there's so many people that need this, that actually are willing to change. We just got to get in front of them, because again, he was a perfect example of, nope, I'm good. And so that always happens, right? There's people that we can't help because they just don't want the help. They still got to want it, and they got to want it bad. And he had major symptoms the last 5 years of his life. Still wasn't enough for him to, stop screwing around. And he paid the ultimate price for it. But so, yeah, that's kind of where the passion comes from with us, where it's so deep, because, we see, I mean, my aunt who died of this, she was one of those people that would have done anything, but we didn't have a program then. So we didn't know how to help her, right? 'Cause I was younger, but now I'm my father-in-law, he could have got the help, but didn't want to take it. So that's the two ends of the spectrum. And so now all we can do now is just get this in front of as many people as possible, show them that it is possible. Hey, let's do it. Let us help you.
Yeah.
So
And with 16 years of experience in doing this and focusing on it, have there been any major developments that you've seen along the way? I'm sure you've seen some new methods pop up, or maybe you've changed how you did it initially.
actually, no, it's really
Really?
amazing because, the truth is the truth, right? It's like exercise is exercise. You eat well, you're going to get healthy. I mean, it's so there's not a lot of, there's certain breakthroughs in other certain fields that I've seen. But when it comes to natural health, it's, the truth is the truth, right? Stop putting junk in, put good stuff in, and guess what happens? Your body heals. I mean, it's a self-healing organism. I always joke with patients, hey, if you cut your finger, right, what happens in a couple of weeks? It heals, right? Your doctor didn't heal that. Your body heals. So if you just put the right stuff in and stop poisoning it with all this junk and junk food and sodas and blah, 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 cigarette, all this stuff, all of a sudden you get results like very, very quickly, almost miraculous. But that's what happens to the body. And so that's what's interesting. So once we cracked the code after 9 years of kind of tweaking and testing and all the mad scientist part, our first 9 years in this, once we cracked that code, that's when we applied for our patent, because that's when we knew we could predictably reverse this disease when people follow it. And so that's kind of what happened at that stage. So once we did that, after we got our patent or applied for it back in 2017, nothing's changed. The supplements are great. The nutrients are great. The way we do food, all the hard stuff was done the first 9 years, where we kind of just, pulled out this food. Let's see what happens. Add this supplement. Let's see what happens. All the tweaking and testing. But now we got it down. And so it's just worked so beautifully, when people follow it, which makes it easier for us. We're not always in R&D trying to figure out the new way. Like, we cracked the code. Now it's just get it in front of millions of people. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
You mentioned, some of the things when you start putting cigarettes, when you start putting chemicals in your body, like the physical, like your body will start healing itself. But there's also the mental part. And I'm curious how that works, the psychological part of not making the decision to put those cigarettes and stuff back in your body, because if we're continuously harming ourselves, we're not going to be able to improve your body. You're fighting against your body, right?
Yeah.
So how does that part work? How do you get people primed to think differently and to start making better choices for themselves?
Yeah. The easiest thing I can say with this, I go back to it, is that people that join our program, they're scared. Because here's what happens. Well, if somebody who's late 40s, early 50s, who's a diabetic who just got diagnosed recently, maybe taking one pill, right? No symptoms yet, feeling great. There's no urgency for that person to change. So that person's going to say, you know what? If I get worse, I'll give you a call. We said we can't help people like that. There's not a magic wand we can do to change their emotional. They have to want it because of some kind of fear. The only time we see people in their 40s and 50s that join is when they have like a family member, like a mom or a dad or aunt or an uncle, who they saw go through those horrific diabetes complications. And they said, holy crap, I don't want that. I saw that with my own eyes. And so then they change. So that's what I'm seeing with our experience is the motivating factor. And as again, just a perfect example of my father, like he never got to that stage. Like he just never got to the point where he was scared enough to try and stop screwing around. So we tried everything with this guy, right? But nothing worked. It had to be his decision, and he never got there. And so that's why all we can do is, throw the net out there, like the hook, and try and get people who are like, you know what? I'm scared. I'm ready to freaking change. Let's do it. And once that happens, once they're in it, because they see the results so quickly, that helps them emotionally, like, wow, I can do this. I can really do this. And we have group support calls every week on the phone where people can call in. So they're hearing from other people suffering from the same kind of issues. And I fell off the wagon, but we didn't beat them up and they kind of got back on the wagon. So all that emotional support is there, which really helps them realize they're not in this on their own. And that's really cool with it too. Like, okay, they can do it. Hey, they joined like 3 weeks before me and they're already there. Oh my gosh, I can do that too. So those are some of the things we built in to help with that emotional aspect, that supporting feeling. And again, having that coach there with them as that crutch, literally 5 days a week, unlimited, to help them anytime they have a little slip up, because it's human nature, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always helpful whenever you have somebody that's been there through the things that you're experiencing now. I can hold your hand through the situation, be like, here's how I did it. And so in recovery world, we call that peer support specialist. And so it's people that have been there and they've risen themselves up and this is what worked for me. Let me help you.
Yeah.
It's incredible to have that support, knowing that other humans have actually done this. This is not just a theory. Like this is
You
possible, and
need
here are
that,
the results.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, for
need
sure.
that empathy and, let again, once they know they're not, it's not like like it's, oh my gosh, me, I'm such a horrible
Yeah.
person. No, 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 man. There's millions of people like you and we can help you too. So just let us come in, kind of put down the defenses and just follow what we say. It's very, very simple to do. Yeah. So that's really cool when that happens.
Incredible. Well, and Dr. Jeffrey Hawkins, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. And people want to find out more about the diabetes reversal group or what you're doing. Where would they go to find that?
Yeah, we do free webinars on a weekly basis. I think someone can check it out. Real simple. They just go to reverseyourdiabetes.com. Real simple, reverseyourdiabetes.com. They can register for the webinar, watch it, and that'll kind of give them all the information and see if they want to get involved in it.
That's a great domain grab. That's
Yeah,
you kept it very simple. Even if they don't remember
yeah,
the name of the group, they can absolutely remember what they're trying to do.
yeah.
That's great. And we'll put that in the description for the video on YouTube. And if you're listening to this as an audio podcast, you can find it in the show description as well. And so, yeah, thank you, Dr. Hawkins, again for sharing your expertise. And thank you for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find us on all your audio podcast platforms from iHeart to Apple to Amazon Music and everything in between. If you're listening to this as an audio podcast, you can find us on YouTube. Search for Long Term, a podcast in recovery. And the best thing that you can do to help us and to help reach the people that we need to with these messages is to share this episode. If you heard Dr. Hawkins say something here today, you're like, I know exactly who needs to hear that this is available and this is a resource they probably don't know about. Share this episode with them. The worst thing that can happen is they won't listen to it. The best thing can happen is they'll save their life. And so I appreciate you being here. I appreciate our guests here. And well, thank you so much for being with us on every episode. And we'll see you in the next one.